We're going to start on Samach Dalet Amid Beis right after the Mishnah. That's 64b. Right? Thank Hashem that we're able to learn every day. It's plus of our learning. Hashem to Beis Hamikdash immediately. Okay, so we mentioned in the Mishnah about a woman that's not being fed in her husband's house. She's getting her food through a third party. And how much food was she supposed to be getting? So she's supposed to be getting two measurements of wheat for a week. The Gemara says, Mani Mas Nisan. Who's the author of our Mishnah that says that two kav of wheat would be enough? Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika, Rabbi Shimon. It's not Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika, and it's not Rabbi Shimon. Tanan, because it was taught in the Mishnah. The Kama Shiure, we throw in a halacha here from Erevin. How, you have to, if someone wants to travel more than 2,000 amas, so he has to set up an Erev Tchumen, right? So how much food is an Erev Tchumen? It's supposed to be a meal. So, or two meals. Mazin Shtei Sudas L'chol Echad V'echad. It's food for two meals for each person. Because that's like where he's spending Shabbos, as if. So Mezayna L'chol V'lei L'Shabbos Divrei Reb Meir. Reb Meir says that it's two weekday meals. Follow? Weekday meals, not Shabbos meals. Now, what the Gemara is about to tell us is that Reb Meir holds that people eat less bread during the week. Usually on Shabbos they have more dips. And more dips means more bread. So Reb Meir says 2 weekday meals of bread. During the week, they don't have as many foods. They don't have as much bread that goes along with it. Rabbi Yehuda says exactly the opposite. L'Shabbos v'lei l'chol. It's 2 meals of Shabbos, not weekday. And Rabbi Yehuda's view is like this, that on Shabbos you have more dips. And more dips, you get full from the dips. You don't need as much bread. And during the week, you don't have as many things to go along with it. So during the week, you eat more bread. So Rabbi Yehuda says Shabbos amount, not the weekday amount. Both of them are intending to give you a lesser measurement, not a larger measurement. Depends what they served, what the wives made. Rabbi Yochanan ben Breika Omer Kika Lakuach B'Pundin Mi'arba Sa'in L'Sela. He says that we're talking about a loaf of bread that's bought for a pundian. Pundian is like a penny. It's a small amount. A penny, small amount. And we're talking about that you can buy 4 sa for a sela. The calculation works like this. A sa is a measurement of grain. A sa actually equals 144 eggs. Okay. No. Regular. Yeah. A sa is 6 kav, which means that a kav is 24 eggs. Right? 24 times 6 would be 144. All right. Follow? So -1 off the 25 of each 6, you're left with 44. Right? It would be 150, it would be 25. Okay, so 4 sa are going to cost 1 sela, which basically means that a sela is 4 dinarim. Okay. This is 4. I'm sorry?
It's a currency.
It is a currency. Now, a dinar is the same as a zuz, if that helps you. Now, what we just said was that every sa cost 1 zuz. Right? Yeah. Let's break it down a little bit more. Let's go into how many yeah. This is a monetary amount, right?
Value.
In value, and 144 eggs is either weight or volume. I'm not sure, but okay. So now let's go down a little bit more. We're talking about the amount of food that a woman gets for the week, and we're comparing this to how much food needs to be put for the meals of the Erev Tchumen, which need to be. So we're trying to figure out how much we think a meal is and how it's matching up with this. Erev Tchumen is how as walking outside the city on Shabbos 2000 Amos. If you want to do that, you need to put bread or food there before Shabbos. How much food do you put there? 2 meals. Now we're figuring this out. So if you take this down to the how much bread costs. So Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka says that if the bread would cost 4 sa would cost the selah, which would mean that every sa would cost a dinar, which would mean that let's break the sa down into can we do this into 6? Yeah, let's break the sa down into 6. That means that a sa has 6 kav. So let's break the dinar down into 6. The dinar has 6 ma, which means every ma is a kav. Okay, now let's break this down in half. Every kav, well, a kav is 24 eggs, so it would be half a kav would be 12 eggs, right? Now the size of not eggs and as ingredients, the size of 12 eggs, right? Okay, now I assume it's in the shell, yeah. Now a half a ma would be is called a pundian. It's a currency, right? So now what we just said was that if 4 sa cost the selah, then the size of bread that we're talking about is a loaf of bread that costs a pundian. Now, how big is that loaf of bread? Because you can't just say a loaf of bread. How big is a piece of string, right? How big is a loaf of bread? And so we're telling you how big a loaf of bread is. A loaf of bread is 12 eggs. Yeah, we didn't say how many meals that is. We just said Mazon Shtei Sudas. Are we saying? No, I guess what we're saying is that loaf of bread that has 12 eggs is the 2 meals. That's what Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka is saying, which means that a meal is 6 eggs. So, yeah, what the Gemara is going to do here, so we don't get lost in all these calculations, Gemara wants to do is it wants to tell us that if she gets 2 kav and 2 meals is half a loaf, and she gets 2 meals is half a kav, right? Is that correct? Yeah, 2 meals is half a kav. Then if she's getting 2 kav, she's really only getting 8 meals. Yeah, right? A half a kav is 2 meals. That means a whole kav is 4 meals. That means 2 kav is 8 meals. She's only getting 8 meals a week. We really need 14 or 15 meals a week because you have 2 meals a day, and on Shabbos you have a 3rd meal. So she's only getting 8 meals. That's not enough. Okay, so let's go further. Reb Shimon Aimer shtei yadis lekikar mishalish kikaris lekav. Reb Shimon says that the kav, instead of having 8 meals in it, the kav, instead of having 4 meals in it, actually has 9 meals in it. Because he says that what you do is every kav can make 3 loaves of bread. And every loaf of bread could be divided into thirds. Every kav could be 3 loaves of bread. Every loaf of bread is divided into thirds, which in each meal is a third of a loaf of bread. which means out of a kav you can get 9 meals. 2 kav would be 18 meals. So she's getting 2 kav, she's getting 18 meals. That's too much. Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka was too little. It was only 8 meals.
Wow.
Rabbi Shimon is 18 meals. Right? So we're trying to figure out where the 2 kav, who according to which opinion. Okay. And then he goes on, he says, Chetzia lebeis minuga, half of the is it half of a third? I think so. No, it's half of a loaf. Half of a loaf, if someone goes into a house of tzaras and he waits there, the amount of time that it takes to eat half a loaf of bread, so then his clothing become tummy. He becomes tummy immediately, but his clothing becomes tummy if he waits that amount of time. So we're describing the loaf of bread that it would be a loaf of bread that could give you 3 meals, but it would really be over here a half a loaf. And no, I might have made a mistake here. No, so far so good. Now the chetzi lifsol esagvia, a half of a half of a press would make a person, if he eats the tummy food. When a person eats tummy food, really doesn't make a person tummy. A tummy person makes food tummy, but food doesn't make a person tummy. However, there is a rabbinic decree that if someone eats tummy food, he's not supposed to eat truma. How much tummy food would consider the person tummy? So it's half of a loaf, which means a quarter of a loaf. And then we have even a smaller amount, which would make food susceptible to contract tumah, to be able to spread it to something else. Okay. How much is that? Chatzi. It goes through over here. Let's see. A loaf of bread there's 3 loaves of bread in a kav, according to this view. So a kav is 24 eggs. That means each loaf of bread is 8 eggs. So when we spoke about half a loaf of bread, we're talking about 4 eggs. That's called achilas pras. We spoke about half of a half. That's 2 eggs. And then a half of a half of a half is 1 egg. And that's what we said, always the size of a kabeya is metami to masaychlan, right? Okay. Now the Gemara goes through the possibilities of who is the author of our Mishnah, who is the author of our Mishnah following when it tells us 2 kav for a woman for a week of bread. Mani. If it's Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka, then she's only getting 8 meals, because Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka said that there's 2 meals in every half a kav, 4 meals in a kav, 8 meals in 2 kav. She's getting 2 kav, she's only getting 8 meals. If it's Reb Shimon, Tamni Srehavi, then it's 18 meals, because he holds that a kav has 3 loaves of bread, and each loaf of bread is 3 meals. 3 loaves of bread mean that there's 9 meals. 2 kav means that there's 18, right? That's all right. Gemara says, Li'aylam Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka. Really, it's Rabbi Yochanan ben Breka. Kedamar Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda explained this once. He said, Seimihem shlish lechen v'ni. Hachanami I see tilsa shadi alayu. Says like this: when we were talking about the loaf of bread that comes from the kav, we missed one point. That we were saying that you get two meals out of half a kav, that's because there's a profit that the storekeeper takes. Really, a kav has 3 meals. Storekeeper keeps a third. That's his income. And in other words, if you make it yourself, you'll get 3 meals out of this. The problem is you're buying it from a storekeeper. You're only getting 2 meals out of this. So when you give the woman 2 kav, she's actually getting 3 meals out of every half a kav, which means out of every kav she's getting 6 meals, which means out of 2 kav she's getting 12 meals. We're almost there. A baker's dozen is going to come out, 8. So
No, baker's dozen usually like 13, right?
So cheaper by the dozen, right? So the problem is akati tarti srei, but then there's only 12. And how many meals do we need a week? 14 or 15, right? You need 2 meals a day, 7 days in a week. It's 14. And plus for Shabbos. The Gemara answers Shabbos. We were talking about a woman that was getting fed by a third party. And so therefore, the third party needs to provide her with 12 meals. But because Friday night, she's going to be eating with her husband, that we said that the husband needs to eat with her Friday night. So then she's going to have an extra meal there. So she doesn't need for that. Now, I don't know if the Gemara is assuming that Friday night also means Shabbos day, but so far I'm only seeing 13 meals here, and she needs for sure 14, right? Well, that's a good answer if when it says that she eats with her husband Friday night, eating means literally eating. But if eating is a figurative term, eating, and it's a euphemism, it actually means relations, that she eats with her husband Friday night means that they have relations Friday night. That's not going to give her an extra meal. The Gemara says clearly, that's only 13. 13 is not 14. She's only getting 1 meal. It doesn't say she eats with him Shabbos day. Rather, it's like Rav Chisda said. Remember we said that every half a kav is really 2 meals. And then we said every half a kav is really 3 meals if you do it yourself. Turns out every half a kav is really 4 meals. Whoa. And then when you do it yourself, when you purchase from the storekeeper, you're really only getting half of that. The storekeeper is keeping half the profit, half of that. He's only giving you 2. Really, it's supposed to be 4. Okay, now if half a kav is 4, that means a whole kav is going to be 8. That means that 2 kav is going to be 16. So we'll also over here we'll throw in the extra half, and then they'll have 16 meals. The Gemara says, well, first of all, kasha de Rav Chisda de Rav Chisda. Rav Chisda told me that the storekeeper keeps the profit of a third. Now you're telling me the storekeeper keeps the profit of half. The Gemara says, like kasha, it depends who provides the wood for the baking over there. So if the person would provide the wood, then the storekeeper only keeps, I guess it means the baker. The baker would only take a third. But if the baker is providing the wood, then he gets half. The Gemara says, then you really have 16 meals. Why are we providing her with 16 meals? She only needs 14 meals, or maybe 15. 14 because 7 days of the week, 2 meals a day. 15 because of Shalosh Shudas. There's an extra meal on Shabbat. The Gemara says, come on, Rav Chisda held that you don't have Shalosh Shudas on Shabbos. You have Arba Sudas on Shabbos. You have to have 4 meals on Shabbos. So then it would make sense. You have really 14 meals a week, and on Shabbos you have 2 extras, so that's 16. The problem is that we don't paskin like Rav Chisda. I forget, we had this in Shabbos. We had I think he includes the Malapa Malka or something as part of the Shabbos meals. I think something like that. All right, the Kiddush Club. Does the Kiddush Club know that they're fulfilling Reb Chidka's view? Well, yes, it would be surprising why the rabbi is always upset about the Kiddush Club. The Machmir. So, well, the Gemara says Afilu Tamer Rabbanan. The Gemara doesn't want to say we're following Reb Chidka. It could be even Rabbanan. Dal Chada La'archi Uparchi. Well, one meal would go for the guests. The Gemara says, oh, talking about guests. Once you throw that factor in, then that resolves a lot of issues. Well, Hashdas Lachi, Afilu Tamer Reb Shimon. You could say it's even Reb Shimon. Reb Shimon that said that there's 18 meals in two kav. And we'll say Rabbanan dal tlas larchi parchi. According to the Rabbanan, 18, you really only need 15. So three of those meals are for guests. Reb Chidka dal tarti larchi parchi. Reb Chidka, you only two of them are for guests because he requires 16 meals a week because you need 4 meals on Shabbos, 12 for the 6 days of the week, and 4 for Shabbos. Okay. That seemed easier than it took this morning to figure this out. Okay. Well, let's go.
This is what one requires.
Right. Right. I think that's really what it's saying. It's just setting the amount. Why does it have to be when maybe it's even when she's with her husband? This is what she needs. Well, I guess when she's with her husband, then the husband's providing all the food, and we don't have to specify. Like over here, we said, well, Friday night she's eating with her husband, so that's not what we need to count. The husband's feeding the family. This is how much needs to be, like the allotment for the. Okay, Amar Rabbi Yosi, like Pasuk Seirim, Rabbi Yosi says that if they're taking barley, then it's 4 kav of Seirim, of barley, 2 kav of wheat, 4 kav of barley. Comes along Rabbi Yosi and he says barley was only Rabbi Yishmael. He lived near Edom. I don't know where Edom is, but is that what it says? Jordan? Okay.
I mean, we know where Edom is, right? Edom
Probably.
region, like
Yeah. So that could be. Ella be'edom udach l'sayrim. The kuli amalei achli. The barley is only eaten in Edom. It's not eaten anywhere else. Hachi kamalei pasuk sayrim keflayim bechitim ela Rabbi Shimon sheyisamach ledem bnei shayrim adumiyais roisin. When do we say that the barley is double the amount of the wheat? That's only the barley that grows near Edom, which was Rabbi Yishmael's area, because over there the barley doesn't grow well, so it needs to be double the amount of wheat. You give her, the Mishnah said, you give her a half a kav of lentils, of kitnius is legumes, right? Beans and stuff. The ilu yayin like Tani, it doesn't say that you give her wine. This could get expensive. Messiah Leila Rabbi Lazar. This supports Rabbi Lazar. Dam Rabbi Lazar ain't pesking yaines liisha. Rabbi Lazar says that the women don't require wine. You don't have to give them wine. Apple juice, water, punch. Right. We're not really probably referring to the kiddush. We're referring to wine that they would drink together with the meal. Were you the one that told me about a book about the history of the world and drinks? So, Vim Taimar, if you'll ask a question, it says in the pasuk, where is this in Hosea? Elcha achrei me'avai niceni lachmi umeimri utamri pishti shamni v'shikuye. Says I'm going to follow after my lovers that give me bread, water, wool, flax, oil, and drinks. Sounds like women do drink wine. This is the well, it says Dvarim Shishim Mishtekekes Aleim. The Gemara retranslates the word shakuyi, which means drinks, to Mishtekekes, which means desires. And what is that? Mainio Tachshitim means jewelry.
Oh, that makes sense.
Not the drinks. Darash Reb Yehuda Ishkfar Nevirya. On the side it says Giboria. Some say Ishkfar Gibor Kfar Gibor Chayil. V'amila Ishkfar Nefar Chayil or Gibor Chayil. Minayin Shem Paiskin Yenis Lisha. How do you know that women don't get an allotment of wine? Shenemar V'takim Chana Achrei Achla B'Shiloi V'Achrei Shesai. It's written Shesa, but it's pronounced Shesai. Shesai would mean Chana gets up after eating in Shiloi and after he drank. After she ate and after he drank, the way it's pronounced. So Shesai v'lo Shesas. It says what he drank, not what she drank. It's a proof Chana doesn't drink wine. The Gemara says, achla v'lo yachal. What are you saying? You want to be specific over here about the gender on these verbs of achla and shesai. It says that she ate. What are you trying to tell me, that he didn't eat? Elkanah, Hannah's wife, right? Hachinami hachinami. It says no. Anan midashani krabediburi kamrina michti begavaka asik basi. My time is shani. Shmamina shasa shesai v'leishasas. Wasn't talking about him. It's talking about her. So we have no problem with it saying that Chana gets up after she ate. That's perfectly normal. The problem is when it switched it and it says Chana gets up after she ate and after he drank. What do you mean he drank? What happened to her? So we say she obviously didn't drink, but he also was eating. But just we weren't talking about him eating. We weren't talking about him getting up. We're talking about Chana getting up. Okay. Meisvei, the Gemara is a question from a Bryce. It says Regila nice and law. It says if she's accustomed to wine, then you give her wine. Gemara says, yeah, Regila shiny. If she's accustomed, then that's a different story. But most women aren't accustomed to drinking wine. Dem Rav China Barkana, Mishmol Regila nice and la kaisechad. Sheina Regila nice and la shnei kaises. If she's accustomed to wine, you give her 1 cup. If she's not accustomed to wine, you give her 2 cups. Gemara says, what? My kamar. What does that mean? What it means is like this. Regila bifnei baila shnei kaises. What it really means is if she's accustomed to have 2 cups of wine when she's together with her husband, eating together with her husband, she would drink 2 cups. Then shlei bifnei baila, if her husband isn't around, then then we only give her 1 cup of wine. She shouldn't be drinking so much wine when her husband is not home. If she only drinks 1 cup of wine when her husband is home, then then we don't give her any wine. We don't give her any wine when she's her husband isn't home. We have another teretz over here. She doesn't actually drink wine. Regila nisan in law letzike kedera. If she's accustomed, then we give her for cooking, to put it as a flavor in the pot of meat or something. They use wine in the cooking. That's what it's talking about, cooking wine. I don't know if they had a cooking wine back then. I assume they used wine. Did they have different quality of wine? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right.
Wine and beer or impurities of water, it's healthier.
Right.
So I don't understand what the huff is. They wouldn't drink wine, that's what they drink. Yeah. It's kind of more like grapes. It's more like wine. Kind of like grapes.
People have the same questions, crazy.
Wine you need or the you can't just film something with that. If you're healthy, you're eating your wine for 2 years and
Well, also, you have to take into account that the wine was mixed into 6 parts water. And probably the reason is the fermentation was not good. It would make them sick in the stomach. so they would add water to the wine.
Drink water on a meal. You can use it.
Diluted, right?
So it's a really with wine.
Tell Hanan.
Everything in there. Drink beer. Don't drink water because it's sweet, right? They know that water is not good.
Uh-huh.
So I don't, just, 1,000 years ago, we were drinking wine, 2,000 years ago, we were drinking wine right now.
Uh-huh.
I'm not sure, but that was my understanding that they drink wine regularly.
Right.
Sorry, what's the condo number?
But when I say
Condo
wine,
number?
I know it.
Number. The household that drinks beer.
Dama Rabavo, Rabbi Yechanan. Rabavo says the name of Rabbi Yechanan, Maisa B'Kalasi Shel Naktimin Ben Gurion. This is a story with the daughter of Naktimin Ben Gurion. Was he the one that dug the wells? No, it was not. Oh, Naktimin Ben Gurion was not the one that was Naktimin Playfair Beirut or something. Naktimin Ben Gurion was one of the wealthy people of Yerushalayim. Remember, there were three wealthy people. One would support with all the wood, and one with the grain, and one. He was going to support with the water. Oh. Shapaskala Chachamim Sasayim Yayin Letzike Kderim Erev Shabbos Lev Shabbos. This daughter-in-law of Naktim Ben Gurion, the sages gave her 2 seah of wine. It's a lot of wine. 288 eggs worth of wine for each week. So Amar Lahem Kach Tifsiku Libnei Seichem. So this is what you should give to your daughters. She's blessing the sages. I guess you should be able to do this for your own daughters. Tana was taught Shemeres Yavam Haisa. Her husband had actually passed away, and she was waiting to marry the brother. The sages didn't want to say amen to this because they weren't sure what it came along with. It might come along with her situation if they responded amen to that blessing. So, she was getting, no, she told them that so you should be able to give to your daughters so much wine. The problem is that her situation, she was sort of saying like this situation, you should have the same situation. And the sages didn't want to respond amen to that because that came along with the curse, right? Okay. Tana, Kaisechad Yafalisha. 1 cup of wine is good for a woman. Shnayim nivalu. 2 cups of wine, it's already disgusting. Shleisha, by the 3rd cup of wine, tevas bepeh. She's already asking explicitly for relations. And Arba, if she has 4 cups of wine, apilu chamar tevas b'shuk v'enim akpedas. She'll even have relations with a donkey in the marketplace. She's drunk. Nevertheless. Amar Rava says, we only spoke about this in this way. That's because the husband wasn't there. But if her husband is there, there's no problem with how much she drinks. Gemara says, what's going on? Chana, we said before, she doesn't drink wine. She wasn't supposed to drink wine. Problem is that Chana was together with Elkanah. Her husband was there. They went both to Shiloh to ask for, she was davening for a child. Well, the Gemara, why do we say that she didn't drink wine? The Gemara says, she was a guest at someone's house, and guests are not supposed to have relations. So therefore, she wasn't drinking wine. How do we know that a guest at someone's house is not supposed to have relations? It says that they got up in the morning, they bowed down in front of Hashem, and they returned. They came to their house in Ramah. And Elkanah knew Chana, his wife, and Hashem remembered. Well, that means she only conceived when they got back home. Why didn't they have relations there? Because they were guests. Yeah. Also, it has to do with the fact that then the guests not necessarily had their own room, and they didn't have their own sheets or whatever. Or something. Hashta in Mikaraloi was only when they came back that she had Elkanah had relations with her. Not originally, not when they were there in Shiloh.
Was she drinking or not?
She was not drinking, and the reason why was because they were staying at someone's house. Well, Chaima, The Bisuda Abaya. Chaima was Abaya's wife. Now Chaima had two wives before. One was Rachva from Pedisa. That was two husbands. I'm sorry. Chaima had two husbands before. Rachva, and then the other one was I forget Rabbi Yitzchak or something. Anyway, Abaya's was of the opinion that if two husbands pass away, the woman does not become a katlanis. Only after three husbands pass away. He holds three times as a chazaka. It's a machlekes Rebbe and his father, Shimon ben Gamliel. Abaya took the lenient view and he ended up marrying Chaima. Well, Abaya passed away. And Asalakami de Rava, she comes to Rava. Amalei, Psykli Mazaini, Psykli Chamra. I want to take from the estate, I want to take food and I want to take wine. Amalei, Rava says, Yadana ben Achmeni. I know Abaya never drink wine, so stop asking for wine. So Amrle, so she says to Rava, Chayidamar, by the life of the master, Davimashki le b'shafrazi kihai. She shows him that the size of the wine glasses that Abaya would serve her the wine, and she goes like this. It was like this high. Well. Bahadi the kamachvale igli dara. When she's showing him this, so her arm got exposed. She was showing him the size of the cup. Her arm got exposed. Nafal nahir beidina, which is very beautiful, and the Gemara expresses it that the light came out. It was a light shining in the whole court. Come Rava gets up. Al Lebese goes into his house. Tavala bas Rav Chisda. He asks for Rav Chisda to have relation, the daughter of Rav Chisda to have relation. That was his wife. Rava was married to the Rav Chisda's daughter. So Amalei bas Rav Chisda, man haviyadin beidina. Rav Chisda's daughter, Rava's wife. So this was like unusual behavior. Said, what happened today in the court? Amalei Chaima de Bisada Abaya. Says Chaima, Abaya's wife was there. So Nafka Basrei, she goes out after Machtale Bekulfi the Shida. She hits her with a kulfi, is the lock of the chest. The Shida is the chest. Ad the Afkala Mekula Mechuzah, and still she chased her out of the whole Mechuzah, the city. Amrallah, she said to her, Katalach Tlasa, you already killed three husbands. Vasas Lamikdalachina, now you're trying to kill another one. I guess because she exposed her arms, maybe she's trying to attract more another husband. The Bisu de Rabbi Yosef Rei de Rava.
At the end of the story?
That's the end of the story.
What? They're gonna come back or nothing? We don't know what happened to the lady.
I don't know.
She get a meal.
Oh, not that she showed. Taisus Rid says that she showed the size of the cup by using her arm, not by saying the height of it. She went like this, like, it went like this. She showed the cups were this tall. She showed her arm, something like that. That's the.
She deserved it. She deserved what she got. Maybe it's a metaphor or something like that.
So the wife of Rabbi Yosef, the son of Rava. Okay, this means Rava's daughter-in-law. Asalakami de Rab Nechemia Brei de Rabbi Yosef. She comes in front of Rab Nechemia, who was the son of Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef was Rava's teacher, and this is his son. Amrlei Pseikli Mizeni Pseikli Chamra. Give me food, give me wine. I guess her husband passed away. She wanted from the estate. Pasakla, he gives her. And Amrullah, she says to her, Yadana the boob of name Mechuzah, the Shasu Chamra. I know that people in Mechuzah drink wine. So he gave her the wine right away. Sorry. The Bisad Rab Yosef, Breder Rab Menashe Midvil, Asal Kami de Rab Yosef. The wife of Rab Yosef, the son of Rab Menashe Midvil. Guess her husband passed away, and she's coming to Rabbi Yosef to get food and wine from the estate. Amali Pseikli Mizeni, Pseikli Chamra, Pseikli Pasakla. He gave to her. She wants food and wine. Pseikli Shirai, just give me silk clothing. Amrullah, Shirai Lama, what do you need this silk clothing for? Amrullah, Lacha, Lachabrach, rusach, lechavrurach. I don't know if I'm missing a word of the lechavrach, lechavrurach. Is that how you have it? I needed to look presentable in front of you, in front of your friends, and in front of your friend's friend. So I just want to look, come in front of the court embarrassed. She wants clothing as well. Nice and lamita or mapats. Give her a bed and a mapats is a mat with two types of mats. Remember, there was a soft mat and there was a harder mat and a machzelas. Mapats and machzelas lamala. Lamala diavla. Why do you have to give her these two soft mat and a hard mat? Amar of Papa Basid in the Nehigi, the Malapuria Bechavli, the Mivkala. The problem is that this place, the stuffing, I guess, of the bed was made of these ropes that was not good for the skin. It would make them age and get wrinkled. So you would need to cover it with the mat. Gemara was suggesting that maybe a regular bed that has a piece of leather thrown over it would be better. It says no, over here, this place they had a different sort of bed, so you needed to have this other mat. Tanarabanan, a nice and lakarbekesses. She doesn't get pillows and cushions. Mishum Rav Nosson Amar nice and lakarbekesses. In the name of Rav Nosson, he said she does get pillows and cushions. Hey Chidami, what are we talking about? What's the case? Ida Orcha, my time in Tanakama. If the custom over there to sleep on pillows and cushions, so why did the Tanakama say that she doesn't get? Ida Lavorcha, if it's not the custom, as we have machlaikas, they have to be arguing about something. What's going on? If it's not the custom, my time with the Reb Nosson, why does Reb Nosson say that she does get pillows and cushions? The Gemara says, no, it's only necessary to have this discussion. He is accustomed to having pillows. She is not. Tanakama Savar, Tanakama holds we don't give her because Amar La, he will say to her, Kiazilna, when I come to you, Shakilna lo. I'll take it. V'chiasina. Kiazilna, when I go away, Shakilna, I'll take it. V'chiasina, Maisina lo badai. And when I come, I'll bring it with me. Reb Nosson Savar, Amar Le, that Reb Nosson says that she can respond back. Zimnin de Misrami ben Ashmashas, Lematzis Maisilu. Sometimes you're going to come Friday night. You're not going to have time to bring them. You're going to take my pillow. I'm going to have to sleep on the floor. So I want to have pillows in the house. Okay.
At least two pillows. At least two.
All right. Nice and la kappa. She gets a cap, a head covering. Amalir of Papa Abaya. Papa says to Abaya, Hi Tana. What's going on over here is very interesting because it said that she gets new clothing every year and she gets shoes every holiday.
Wow.
It says, Hi Tana, this Tana Shliach. What does it mean? Shliach, I guess, means left. Shliach. What does shliach mean? I got maybe it means like it leaves her. Shliach hartaloi barami masani. It leaves her naked, but at least she has shoes. But that's saying that it's not consistent over here. That she doesn't have clothing, but she has shoes every 3 times a year. Amalei Tanab, the Amalei is saying this. Abaya responds that the Tana, our Mishnah was referring to, the Makam Harim, it's in the mountains, Kai, that's where he's referring to. Over there in the mountains, because it's steep slope, so the shoes get worn out. And it's coming to teach us a side point, that she gets the extra shoes on the holidays, so that they should be able to rejoice that she would get the new shoes. But really in the mountains, you need shoes more often. That's what it's saying. The kalim shel chamishim zuz and clothing of 50 zuz. Amar Abaya. Abaya says chamishim zuz pshiti. This is not really zuz the way we talk about. This is a different type of zuz. This is these little coins. Because midiktani, because mimai, how do you know this? Midiktani, because it says further on, because this is talking about a poor person. If he's wealthier, then he has to give her more. But if he's more honorable, then he has to give according to his honor. And if we'd say that it's actually 50 coins, 50 regular zuz, ani chamishim zuz minale, how does a poor man get 50 coins, 50 zuz? It means pennies, those types of coins. Very nice in law, like Hadashim Chulu. You don't give her the new ones in the summer. Taner Rabbanan. Start in the Brisa. Meisim Mezenis Labal. Let's say she doesn't eat as much as the prescribed amount that she's supposed to get. Who gets the leftovers? Comes over, sees that there's a lot of food in the refrigerator, left over from everything that she's put. Who keeps that? Well, it says it goes to the husband. But the leftover clothing, the worn out clothing, extra clothing, that the woman keeps. What does she need extra cloths? Rachva says she uses them when she's in nida. She needs extra cloths. Her clothing shouldn't be dirty. She should not become disgusted on their husband. She wants to wear clean clothes for her husband. Amar Abaya Nakdinan, Abaya says we've established that Maisibelais Almana Liyarshav. If she's a widow, then she doesn't keep the old clothing. It goes to the inheritors, Liyarshav, to his inheritors. Hasim would like Tiskana Bapo. Over there, she was married. We want her always to look clean for her husband. But Tiskana over here, we're not concerned if she's not going to look presentable because she doesn't have a husband anyway. Nice and Lama Kesef, she gets spending money. And then it says that on Friday night, she eats with her husband. Maya Cheles, we mentioned this machlekes before, but we didn't spell it out. What does it mean that she eats with her husband? Rav Nachman Amar Cheles Mamish. Rav Ashi Amar Tashmish. Rav Nachman says Cheles means that they eat together. Rav Ashi says that they have relations together. Tana Cheles Imeleli Shabbos. It says that she eats with him Friday night. Bishlam Elamanda Machila. If it means that they eat together, so then it's good. Cheles means to eat. But if it says that they have relations, what does it mean they eat together? What's the term eating? It's talking about, it's a euphemistic term for relations. As it says in the pasuk, Achla, she eats a machsapi and she wipes her mouth. And she says, I have done no evil. Talking about a prostitute. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question. That she's together with her husband on Friday night and on Shabbos. According to the Brisa, she eats Friday night and Shabbos with the husband. If achila means eating, so so Shabbos day she also eats with the husband. Can they have relations on Shabbos? Rav Huna says Jewish people are holy. They don't have relations by day. My answer is that if the house is dark, it's permissible. If she's nursing, she has to get extra food. Darash Rab Ula Rabba Apiska de Benasiya. Rab Ula, the great, taught at the entrance to the house of the Nasi. Even though it's been stated that a person does not need to support his sons and daughters when they're minors, but he has to support them when they're very minors, when they're very young. Ad kama, how old is the very young? Ad ben sheish, until 6 years old. Could the Rabasi, like Rabasi says, the Rabasi katan ben sheish that a child that's up to 6 can be yaitza with his mother's erev, I guess. Erev tchumen, I guess. So what that means is that just like the father has to support his wife, so that wife is coming along, the child goes along with wherever the wife goes, because the father is supporting the wife is also supporting the child up to 6. Mimai, how do you know this? Since it says if she's nursing, so she doesn't have to do the amount of work that she would, and we add to her food. My time is it not? Because he needs to eat together with her. The Gemara says, maybe it's just because she's ill and that's why she needs more. Then let it just say if she's ill. And as we're comparing it, maybe because she's weak, we're giving it for her, not for the child. What does it mean if she's nursing? It must mean that the child is getting the food. Maybe it's just telling us that a person that's nursing is considered ill. Itmar Amar Rabbi Yeshua ben Levi, Mesifin la yayin shayayin yafel l'chalav. It was stated that you give her wine because wine is actually good for the milk. Okay. Leave it over here. And on Sunday, Bezrat Hashem.
Excellent, everybody, excellent job.
I have a quick question.
Yeah.
When it says Nafal Nahor